I'm outside Watkins Books, which has been invaluable to me for my research on my first book and on the one I'm writing now. It's a gold mine for things on the esoteric and even for fiction. It's got a fabulous collection of writers of the supernatural in there. I've just picked up a book on the Gnostic Gospels, and I've also picked up in the past several books on Lucifer and the devil, which have been quite useful for this latest book I'm working on. And they actually stock, and they have sold many copies of my collection of short stories, and they've just got another batch in which I've signed. And now we'll move on to Soho. Okay, so I'm now outside the French House, this wonderful pub with a great history stretching back to Second World War, when the landlord would only sell half pints, and that hasn't changed. And there's confirmation for you. We used to come here often on a Friday lunchtime or a Thursday lunchtime, and that was in the days of when advertising was thriving in all sorts of agencies like BBH, Saatchi and Saatchi. But yeah, this is a classic place. There's also around the corner the Coach and Horses, which is famous for having a corner on the far right for the private eye journalists and the spies. So I'm outside Black's now, one of the exclusive media clubs which we used to frequent, not so much now. And my friends that were members are no longer because they're not working around here anymore. But it was a great place. And you could guarantee on a Friday night when all the pubs are heaving and it's really hard to get served, you could come in here, sit down with a table that you've booked and just relax. We're now in Mead Street, which appears in my book in the story about the resurrection, which they walk through on their way to Soho. It's also been made famous by Toast of London. I think he lives in this one here. And there used to be a greasy spoon right here, one of these two, gone forever. But Mead Street, the French word everyone knows. Yeah, so Mead Street, yeah, people say that you can get in shit street when you work in advertising. Well, this is it. So this is the top of Mead Street, and I think we're going to walk along Wardour Street and come down St Anne's, which is where the Marquee used to be, where the great bands had their launch of their careers, including people like the Yardbirds, The Who. I think even Hendrix played there. So let's see where we are now. That used to be Hammer House, didn't it, for Hammer horror films. No, it's now cakes. They're too delicious to avoid them. So this is St Anne's Court, which is where the Marquee Club used to be. And it was round here, actually. No sign of it, but it was here. And important part of the British music scene in the 60s, 70s and early 80s. This used to be a comic shop called Dark They Were and Golden Eyed, which was the first comic shop in England that sold American comics actually on the day they came out instead of 4 or 5 months later. Now this St Anne's Court leads to my first days of learning about advertising, because that was where I did the D&AD course, which is called the Design and Art Direction course at the time. And I did it at the offices of what was probably the most creative ad agency of the 80s, Gold Greenless Trot. And they were in this building here. Some fantastic advertising was done in this building. and the guru behind it all was Dave Trott. So this was the building where I spent 12 weeks learning the ropes, and I don't know what it is now. It's don't know.
Give me back. Give me back. Give me back. Give me back.
She's just nicked something out of the shop. Now we're heading to the corner that leads to Soho Square, which is just over there. And there used to be the Pizza Express over there, which used to have all the jazz. This was a really famous bar, the Toucan, which is known for its Guinness, and probably the best Guinness you can get in London, I think. I loved it in there. It appears in my story, The Resurrection, as does the square, which we're approaching now. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you now, I used to work in that building when I was a student, and it was the Inland Revenue, and then I worked there 10 years later, and it was the advertising agency CDP. And I think it's a film company now. I'm not sure which one it is. Universal, Paramount. Okay. So this square features in my story, The Resurrection. They sit down, the characters sit down, Jason Watts, at one of these benches and watch the people go by. That green building over there used to be Richard Williams' animation studio. So now we're in Frith Street, which is the very heart of the Soho media scene, entertainment and drinking world. Over there is a facility that we used to get all our production and printing done when I was at BBH. Bartle Bogle Hegarty, still there. So back in the 80s, there used to be a barber shop across the road here in Frith Street called Cuts, which was highly recommended by the Face magazine, which was like a Bible for us. And so I had my haircuts there for many years. And then we've got the famous Ronnie Scott. Doesn't need an introduction. And now finally, Bar Italia. Wonderful place. Okay. A long double espresso, please. Thank you. Still got Rocky Marciano on the wall. Still have not Rocky Marciano on the wall.
Cheers, thank you.
You sit over there?
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
That's all right, Norris. Okay. Yeah, this place hasn't changed at all. Sometimes they have the Italian football on here, and it's difficult to get in on those days. But yeah, I think this is the first time I've been here 5 years, I think, longer. It's good to be back. Quite often, if we were getting stuck on an idea and it wasn't coming out properly, we'd come in here with our layout pads, sit here, order endless coffees, and draw and scamp and argue, as creative teams do, until we came up with a good idea, and then we'd go back to the agency all caffeined out.